Welcome to this edition of the Vawlin Out podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my new co-host, Swanny. How you doing, man?
Good. How about yourself?
Buddy, I'm fine as wine. If I needed anything, I'd need a twin right now because I'm just that damn good. So
It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Man, well, buddy, it's good to be back on the other side of the mic from you. I'm glad to have you. So I'm looking forward to what we can do with this thing.
Glad to be here. I don't know if your listeners know it, but you and I have done a podcast before. We have some history together, especially just sitting on the couch, drinking beer, watching sports, making jokes, sometimes inappropriate, but yeah, we've got some rapport, and I think this can be a good combo moving forward.
We're gonna have a ton of fun with this, man. We'll talk about what we're gonna do with it later on here, but man, we're gonna touch on Creighton just for maybe a hot minute. Then we'll sit here and talk about that god awful Purdue game that made us madder than hell. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about the tournament. We're gonna talk about the Lady Vols, something we haven't done much of. And then we're gonna talk about that slick suit up north there making the move out west. Man,
Walmart land,
Wally World. He's heading to Wally World, brother. So, man, let's just touch on that Creighton game for just a minute. I mean, that was one of the better games we played all year, honestly.
Yeah, I was unable to watch most of it. I was working that night. I did notice, we went on a 15-0 run or 18-0 run.
I think it was 18-0 to open up that second half, man, and it was just a bombardment, dude.
I remember thinking, cool, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about it the rest of the night. I can go about my business, get this night over with. We're moving on. And then the next time I looked at the scoreboard, we were up 3 or something. Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Right, man. I tell you, nothing comes easy being a Vol fan, buddy. Nothing.
No.
We've learned that the hard way. I mean, it's whatever, that I kind of seen the score and I was like, you know what? We got this, kind of like you. And then I was like, but wait just a minute. Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
And then hats off to Creighton, though. They played a great game and they shot their way back into that one. But I think the one everybody kind of wants to hear us talk about a little bit is the Zach Edey foul fest. That wasn't really a foul fest.
More like Purdue, am I right?
Right? Purdue, I like it.
Man, no, they're a good team. Even with, we knew going into that game that he was going to get a lot of calls.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that you know how you're going to get beat and still get beat that way.
Right.
It was just painful all the way around. We said it the last time I was on here. We said, Elite 8 or bust for us, and we made it there. Day or two after that Purdue game was really sad, really anger. You go through all the stages of grief, but yeah. All in all, good season. I'm proud of the team.
Oh yeah, I mean, how can you not be, man? They went out. They didn't give us much hope going into it. Mississippi State just absolutely embarrassed Tennessee before we even hit the tournament. And It was, we talked about it. We're like, are we going to be out first weekend of the tournament? Or are we going to, use this and kind of motivate ourselves going forward? And they did the latter. I'm proud of them too. It was, they were fun to watch this year, man. I hate things went down how they went down there at the end of the year, but they did everything right in that game. I felt like for the most part, just, man, I don't want to say they had to beat the refs too, because they didn't, but some of that stuff, man, it was like the dude shot 22 free throws at 40 points,
16 boards along with
16 boards. Yeah.
Good stat line. He's a good player. He is a dominant college player. I don't really think his game's going to translate to being dominant on the next level. He'll find a team that'll find a role for him. He's 7'12".
I mean, yeah. How could he not be in that damn
but
big, dude?
I don't blame the refs for that loss. I don't think it's against the refs. I think it was us, and it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm not mad at Rick. I'm not mad at the boys. I'm not mad at anybody. You're not gonna. if Ncaa Ziegler is your second option for scoring, you don't deserve to be on the floor. I'm sorry.
The thing
I
about it
like
is,
Ncaa. Who doesn't love Ncaa Ziegler? But he's no. Sorry.
yeah, I get where you're coming from, but my thing about it is, man, if you get any more if you get what you usually get from Ziegler, you win that ball game.
Right.
But man, it was just like, what do you do? I don't necessarily put it on Rick, but the thing about it that kind of baffled me during the game watching it was, okay, Adu, Adu can't body up Edie. You know it. Like, don't stick him out there on him. I get from an offensive standpoint, if he's having a good game, you stick him out there. He'll give you 12, 14 points. And if you're lucky, he'll out rebound the guy he's lining up across from and, get 8 to 10 rebounds. He didn't do that. He didn't do anything this game, man. Like, next to nothing.
No, I do. My one question about Rick Barnes is, what does he have against big men? Who have we had a good one since he's been there? Like, have we had a force down low?
No, not really. I think that our best big man has been sitting on the bench, as crazy as it sounds, and that's going to be JP Estrella.
Now he had a good showing against Edie.
He did, man, and Awaka did too. Just Awaka has to learn how to. I love his physicality. I don't want him to tone that down any, but he's got to learn to. He's got to learn to kind of keep it in the cage, so to speak, because dude, he gets down there and he bangs like a screen door in a damn hurricane whenever he's down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But against somebody like Edie, you can't do that, man. You cannot do that because you know if there's a questionable call, it's gonna go against you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Estrella done really, really solid at pushing him out further than what he's comfortable with, that little drop hook. Yeah. I think he done well, pushing him out that far and making him uncomfortable. Some of the stuff he does, man, there's nothing you can do. You can defend it perfectly. You can be as physical as you want to with him. He's just that good. Like, I hate him though.
He's not just 7'4". He's very strong. He's a very powerful post player, especially on the college level. Like, there's nobody's going to have anything for him. And, we've got that national championship game on tonight, them versus UConn. I'm super excited about that game. Two teams that I really can't stand, Purdue because of our history with Purdue,
right,
and UConn because of the Lady Vols history with UConn.
Sure.
But those are the two best teams, and I'm anxious to see I'm excited to see how UConn deals with Zach Edey.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. That's going to be a good storyline for them tonight, because there's two ways you can do this, I think. And it's either you play him physical and you hope you've got enough guys on the bench to, catch 4 fouls and be okay with having to defend him, or you make him get out and run. If you can beat him in transition, you're good. UConn can do that.
I was hoping that we were just going to throw in the scrubs against Edey and foul the hell out of him.
I mean, that
elbow to the chest.
Play. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to see, because like I said, we knew what was going to happen. Referee wise, just didn't go our way. One of the things I noticed on the offensive side of the ball for us, after, you remember that we were up 32-21. We went on that run. They called the timeout. From that point on, I counted. I didn't go back and research this, but I counted 10 points that were not Dalton Connect points.
Yeah. The Dalton had to play the game of his life to keep us in that, because
go ahead.
I mean, no, you make your point.
Well, we talked about, you saw a lot of fans talking about, oh, well, Edey doesn't have, how did he not get any foul calls? We didn't go to the hole.
Right.
We didn't. We went to the hole one time, maybe twice. One time, of course, me and him swatting Dalton Connect back into reality.
Yeah, he put
And
one in
then
the cheap seats.
Ziegler had a shot where he tried to hit a floater over him, where what he wanted to do was kick it out back to Connect, but Connect wasn't there open, so he half-ass threw one up, and it didn't go
Right.
in, obviously. But we didn't test him down low, and there's a reason for that. But that's how you get a big man in foul trouble, and we
Yes.
didn't do that.
The guys play. I agree with you on that. I don't want to necessarily say that they played intimidated, but I mean, how can you not, dude? My God,
Well,
the dude's a man child.
well, I couldn't help but laugh. They were cutting the nets down. He didn't even use the ladder. He was just cutting the net down, just standing there.
And then did you hear him on TikTok
What are you supposed
afterwards?
to do with him?
Right? He's like, I got a boner. It's like, dude, nobody needs to know that.
Yeah,
I'm like, come on now.
he had a lot of stuff that he said after that game that didn't sit right with people. One, and right immediately after the game, he said, "We just we're winners. That's what we do." It's like, well,
No,
we don't
you're
really
not.
know you for that. We know you for losing to Farley Dickinson in the first round, but talk your game.
Right.
And then in the post game, he's talking about coaches that overlooked him, and
Yeah.
mentioned Rick Barnes in particular.
Not accurate at all.
Just called him right out, and it's like, first of all, you're 7'4".
Nobody's
When everybody's done
overlooking
listening
you.
to this podcast, they're gonna know that Zach Edey is 7'4". They're gonna know it by heart.
He's how tall?
Nobody ever looked a 7'4" center. Okay, nobody overlooked him.
No.
And secondly, Rick has done a good job of putting high quality, high character players on his team. So maybe it's a you problem if Rick didn't recruit you.
Right. It's like that. Okay, so the all we do is win thing. No, buddy. Farley Dickinson had something to say about that last year. Two, this is what their first Final Four national championship game since 1960. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. First Final Four since
Moses
black and white
Short Pants.
TVs for sure.
Yeah. Third off, excuse me. The Rick Barnes comment, Rick didn't overlook him. Rick wasn't even down there to recruit him. He was down there checking in on a couple of other guys that he had recruited from down there. Don't remember the names right offhand, but
when would Edey have come out?
Well, he is
18 or 19.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, he was down there. It was Kennedy. It was I want to say the Springer and Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson.
Because where was Edey? Edey was at IMG in Florida.
Yes, precisely. So
I just learned after they made the Final Four that Burns, is it DJ Burns?
Yes,
NC State. I just learned that he was a Vol recently.
Yeah. So you were today years old when you found out.
I was
about
2
TJ.
weeks years old. 2 weeks ago, years old. But
man, I'll tell you what though, like that kid, that was one I was curious about that matchup right there with those two because I didn't feel like Edey could push him around, and he did.
He did, yeah. That's another. Those are two more games I didn't get to watch due to my job. But I'm just glad Bama's not there. I think that we got the best matchup for the championship game, entertainment wise. I think those are the two best teams going at it, and that's always a good thing in this tournament. Everybody loves the upsets in the early rounds and the Cinderellas, but after the Sweet 16, I don't want any double-digit seeds. I don't want to see them. I want the best teams moving on to the Elite Eight and all the way to the championship. And I feel like we've got the two best teams. Houston kind of got, their best player got hurt in the middle of the Duke game.
Yeah,
but I think we've got the two best teams overall.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I mean, I feel
Bama
like
didn't do it. So,
oh yeah, F Bama. One thing I do want to touch on though is Connect during this tournament run, dude. He played phenomenal ball. And the thing about it is everybody else stepped their game up too. So he didn't have to feel like he had to drop 40, 45 a game to win or give the Vols a chance. Like he didn't. We've said it before, Tennessee's at their best and playing their best ball when Dalton's scoring in the 20s, maybe 30 range, but 20-25, those are his best. That's when you get the best team effort. And man, the boy's done all we could ask of him, I feel like.
Yeah. Great player. Hate that he was a 1-year rental. But I hope he does well on the next level. I don't know if he will or not. But I hope he does. I've seen him go as high as number 4 in mock drafts. So obviously NBA scouts think more highly of him than I do, and I'm not an NBA scout. I sit on the couch and watch sports, but yeah, best of luck to him on the next level. He was really, really good for us. I think he had the most points in a season for us.
Yeah. I mean, man, he was just The thing about what I liked most about him though was his character. Like after every game, him and actually Ncaa are the only two that come out and sign for absolutely everybody. They don't care. They take their time to, sit down and not sit down, but, talk to people, make them feel like they want to get to know them. When I went to the LSU game earlier this year, he signed a basketball for my youngest boy and asked what his name was, addressed it to him, everything. Took the time to do that. And I thought that was cool because a lot of guys are just like, yeah, I'm just going to sign this and get him out of my face. He was cool, super cool. So, that kind of goes to what you were saying earlier too, about Barnes getting character guys in here. Give me a high character guy over a arrogant 5-star any day of the week, because those guys don't come in. Those arrogant 5-stars come in and think they're entitled. These 3-4-star guys come in, bad as I hate to say it, sound like Bujo here, but they come in and they want to work and they want to develop their game. These 5-star guys, some of them aren't like that. Most of them aren't like that, especially in basketball. It seems like
that's another thing too with the whole overlooking comment made by Zach Edey. Like Rick has really done a lot with the 2- and 3-star guys here. I obviously didn't follow him at Texas. I don't know what happened there. I know that he produced a lot of NBA talent out of that university, but just based on what he's done here, we've a lot of smaller recruits have turned up and been really big for us.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. So if you notice, this is something that I've always thought and always kind of picked up on myself. If you notice, guys that are here, they might be, 4 or 5 stars whenever they show up. We don't see them a whole lot till maybe late sophomore and then on into the junior year. He develops these guys, man, and once he puts them out there, they are ready for the big stage. I don't feel like anybody can question Rick Barnes's ability to develop players. I don't feel like they can.
No, that's not in question for us at all. Let's talk about who are we losing going into next year.
Okay, so I know that obviously Dalton's gone. Adu, I think we'll hear something from him. If honestly, the way he went down the stretch, he needs to put on some weight before he's like, I'm going to go to the NBA.
But he's an underclassman.
He is, so he could leave if he wanted to. No, he could leave if he wanted to, though. But no, he's not ready for that.
Well, yet. Yeah, transfer portal, anybody can leave at any time, but he's not going pro.
No, I don't see how he could. Earlier in the year, maybe there was a little talk of that, but I don't see it right now. The way he got manhandled here come tournament time, no. I know that DJ Jefferson hit the transfer portal today. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. There was about 20 games this year where everybody touched the court except DJ.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was a surprise to me because I'd never heard his name before. So, casuals like myself are like, who?
Right.
But reading up about him earlier today, like, oh, so people were excited about him. People,
Yeah,
uh,
DJ had it when he signed here, man. I don't know. I don't know if it was just he didn't mesh or didn't want to work hard enough. I don't know. I don't want to say that about a kid on here because we don't know the story.
no.
But we've got okay. So there's 3 at least. And then Mr. And my favorite guy on the team to say his name, DeLeon.
DeLeon. I remember when he signed, there was a lot of excitement about him. Wasn't he one of those that signed halfway through the season? Like he graduated in December high school,
Yes.
got in college, and I don't remember exactly when this was, but I remember some excitement about him playing.
Well, I think it was more of it was one of those deals where we knew we needed him, and he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. I don't. I'll have to look. I don't necessarily think he was highly sought after, but I mean, I look at it like this: Barnes gets paid to evaluate talent. We don't. He's seen something he likes. So I hope the guys that are going into the transfer portal or that are going into the draft next year, whatever. I hope they do well because it looks good on us. It looks good on the Tennessee basketball program.
It looks good on us, and I hope these guys find where they need to be, where they want to be, and where they flourish. But it's also good for us. We've got scholarships opening up.
Yeah,
maybe we can hit another Dalton Connect in the portal, and because to me it looks like next year is going to be a kind of a rebuild. Soft rebuild. We're not going to be an Elite 8 caliber team. We're not going to be. We can hang around into the top 25.
Yeah,
but we're not going to be as good as we were this year, or as good as we've been in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well,
but with the transfer portal, you can address issues that you need addressed immediately. And
that school up north's going to have a few hit the portal that I would love to have. We'll dive into that in a bit, but here's the thing about Dalton: you're not always going to hit a Dalton Connect type player in that transfer portal, man. You're just not.
No,
and I think
who knew who that kid was?
I didn't.
You remember? So when we were doing our last podcast, we talked about him.
We talked about him.
We talked about all the guys that we had got through the portal, and we had mentioned this guy, and we're like, "Oh, good, whatever." We didn't know. We didn't know who he was.
No, I wish we could go back and pull those, dude, because we would so be eating crow right now.
There's some there. I've got them.
All right. We may need to do something with those one of these days. But man, like they were talking about it. They were talking about it on the radio the other day. I was listening to it, and they said, Tennessee's record in the transfer portal as far as basketball goes has not been that solid. Their track record's not been good. They're right until now. But the one player we get is like it was like finding a needle in a haystack because we didn't think he was going to be much. You don't find many All-Americans in the transfer portal. Plain and simple. You just don't.
National Player of the Year contender. We just picked up from Northern Colorado.
Yeah, man. He left a state where weed is legal to come here and play basketball.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hey, guys, we got a recruit from UNC. Oh, the Tar Heels? No.
Northern Colorado. Yeah. It's like I'm going to LA.
Apparently, according to Jordan Moore, who's been on your show before, and great at what he does. Awesome dude, great at.
Jordan knows
one of the best Vol fans, just purely on knowledge.
Yes,
he's talking about apparently the same school, Northern Colorado's got another guy that we need to be after. I can't remember the guy's name. I've seen the tweets in passing, but. Yeah, we got to hit that transfer portal hard if we want to be competitive again next year. Because that's the name of the game now. We've already hinted at him a couple times. John Calipari, that style of I'm going to get the 6 best recruits coming out of high school, and we're going to go to the Elite 8 again. That doesn't fly anymore.
No,
and it's all about the transfer portal.
Yeah,
football, basketball, whatever.
It is, dude. Baseball, even
Mm-hmm.
and we don't even care. I don't want to say we don't care about baseball because we do, but it's like you get to that point, man, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, this is what it's become. You build teams each year. It's more about roster management. It doesn't matter what the sport is. Football, it's more important for roster management. I do feel like baseball. Maybe basketball. If I had to pick an order, it'd be 1, 2, 3: football, basketball, baseball. To me,
Mm-hmm. Adapt or die.
Right.
Adapt or die to what's going on. Picking an order: football, basketball, women's basketball. Is that roped into basketball? We just put
It's
them
got
up
to
together.
be. Yeah, it's got to be.
It's those three, and then baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's all become roster management. Who's going to pay me this? Who's going to pay me that? Fun fact, actually, did you know? Because Zach Edey is a Canuck, he cannot collect NIL money.
I read that yesterday. I think that's that's crazy.
Isn't it? And it's a damn shame too, because as much as he camps out in the lane, Coleman is missing a golden opportunity.
Yeah,
bless.
you're not kidding. You're not kidding. It sucks for him though. I really hate that for him. He's watching his teammates get. There's football players on Purdue's team that's making more money than Zach Edey, who's their most profitable athlete. He's their best in all sports.
He's
the most important student athlete at the University of Purdue or Purdue University or who cares?
It don't matter. We don't like them anyway because of basketball and then that god awful Music City Bowl. Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, there's no sense in getting into that.
No, none whatsoever, man.
But Purdue.
Yeah, absolutely, and Bama. We don't give we don't give a damn about the whole state of Indiana or Alabama. How about that?
Nope.
I think we can go there, buddy. So we've hashed out this Purdue game, all that. We're gonna keep it with the Vols though, man. How about the Lady Vols? You've been talking about this hire they just made. Sounds like it was a good one, man.
Yeah, how about them? I'm gonna shout out Jordan Moore again because he was the first person that I saw mention Kim Caldwell as a candidate for the Lady Vols. This is before Kelly Harper even got fired, before we even knew she was going to get fired. And there's a corner of our fan base who is upset about Kelly Harper going.
Sure.
And
I think
I'm going to go ahead and say they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. We underperformed. There's a renaissance of women's basketball happening right now before our eyes. It's been the most watched sport this weekend, maybe besides WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That there are at least 2 women's college basketball games that were more highly watched than any other sporting event this entire weekend.
I'll tell you right now,
and
I watched the game yesterday, and I don't watch women's basketball, so that that's saying something.
Well, it pisses me off that this renaissance is happening and the Lady Vols are not involved in it whatsoever.
Sure.
So we're making this change. We brought in Kim Caldwell. She's from Marshall. She was at Marshall for 1 season. Broke all kinds of school records up there. Won the I forget what conference they're in. Won the conference outright.
I think they're in the
regular season and tournament. First tournament appearance since '97, I think. She was at her alma mater before that, which is a D2 school. Girls from West Virginia. She is 217-31 overall that's her head coaching record, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you know this or not. That's a lot. That's 85%.
Jeez, man.
Winning percentage.
That's impressive.
And she plays a brand of basketball that I think that it'll be very refreshing. It'll be fun to watch. It's high pace offense and a full press defense. And that's, Danny White, I want to talk about Danny White for a second because he has an MO for when he hires coaches. And it seems like when in doubt, just score points when it comes to hiring coaches. You look at our football hire 2-3 years ago, Josh Heupel. When in doubt, just put up points on the board. We're going to sell tickets. We're going to do this or that and the other.
Yes.
You look at his hires at Buffalo, Nate Oates. He found Nate Oates out of wherever the hell he found him from. Lance Leopold. His track record is getting teams that are fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what he found with Kim Caldwell. So I'm looking forward to what we can do. I know it's not, a lot of people thought we could get like Kim Mulkey or whoever, Gino, like we could talk Gino into coming from Connecticut down to Knoxville. No. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be wild though.
But I think this was absolutely the best hire we could have made, especially breaking away from the Pat Summitt tree.
Yes.
Now you've got somebody coming in who doesn't have the pressure of having played for Pat or coached with Pat, or she can appreciate Pat on a certain level, but there's no personal. There's no pressure.
There.
There's no expectation. There's no. All right, just roll the ball out there, and
right.
I think they turned in their conference championship game. They turned the other team over 31 times.
Dude, there was
she wants to turn the ball over and shoot threes. That's what she wants to do, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely, man. There was one game earlier this year too. I think they caused 40 plus turnovers. I think it was like 40-41. It was right there. Either way, man, 40 or 41. Hell, there ain't much of a difference. It was impressive.
Crazy stat lines. Like they shot the ball 49 more times, 49 more times than the team they were playing against.
Like, I mean, that's insane.
It's going to be fun to watch. Whatever we get, it's going to be fun.
Yes. I'll tell you this. Like, I used to, whenever I was younger, I would always watch the Lady Vols. They were fun to watch. I mean, Pat had all sorts of people, Samika Randall, Tamika Catchings, Shamika Holtzclaw. They were fun to watch.
Yep.
Over time, they've not been fun to watch. And I'm going to sound awful. My biggest deal with watching women's basketball, I can appreciate the game. I can appreciate these girls going out there and busting their hind ends. The lack of athleticism. I'm sorry. There's nothing that excites me about watching somebody go down the court and being like, oh, no, it's off the backboard and then for a layup. Dunk it. But I know that sounds awful, but
we had Candace, she could dunk.
She did. We did. One thing though that I want to say, I think the biggest problem with, especially maybe our fan base, Tennessee's fan base as a whole, and this is not a shot at the fan base because I mean we're part of it. I love the fan base; they're wild, but sometimes this part of that segment of the fan base makes me mad as hell. They expect the next person to come in and be the next Pat Summitt, the next Philip Fulmer, whoever, and you're not going to hit that. Like you're not going to hit that with every hire. I think for the Lady Vols, until this one here proves us otherwise, I think Pat's as good as it's going to get. As good as it's ever going to get. Most people would be like, I'd take 2 or 3 seasons of what Pat Summitt did for the Lady Vols. We expect it year after year, and that's just not the way the landscape is now. That's not possible. I don't feel like.
No, but what we've gotten. Oh, it's absolutely possible. Look at South Carolina with Dawn Staley. They've lost 3 games in the last 3 years.
Right.
Undefeated this year. It's possible. Gino just not long ago. I can't remember. I know they had a run at the start of the 2010s where they won 90 games in a row or whatever.
That's true.
And then they did it again 2015-ish.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's definitely possible. And it's like I said, it really grinds my gears that women's basketball is getting all this shine now, and we're not there. It's this giant party's going on, and Iowa's there with Caitlin Clark, and LSU's there, and South Carolina and UConn's still there,
and we're the designated driver.
It's like nobody remembers that we invented this sport
Right.
We started this.
We're
We're the
just
reason this is possible. Not
we're
us,
everybody's
not
Uber.
you and I.
No,
But Pat
no.
Summit is the reason that any
There's
of this is
laws
happening.
being passed right now though that make you and I make that possible for you and I.
And
I don't want to do
Pat
it.
Summit's statue is sitting in Knoxville, and we're an afterthought. There's a generation of kids, of young girls who have no idea that we're the reason.
Right. It's
That really
it's
upsets me.
sad, man. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a sad situation. Like it really is because until this one here, I'm going to say this though, we're on the outside looking in. You reference the party going on in women's college basketball right now. Right now, we're the Uber. We're like, hey, we'll text them and we'll get home safe. You know.
Yeah.
I think maybe with Caldwell coming in, we might be, part of that party. Give her a year or two. One of the biggest issues with our fan base is we don't give people time. We think it's got to be instant, and it's not like that. Give this woman time to come in here, get who she wants, get what she needs in place. Because Danny White will give it to her. I don't think it's that's one thing. Danny White's made this whole thing possible for all of us. Baseball, basketball, women's basketball, football. Hell, man, we got a good we got a good riverboat rowing team. Like, who the hell can say that?
Yeah.
Like, we're getting there.
We must put up points. Light up the riverboat rowing scoreboard. No, so yeah, she's gonna play a really fun style of basketball, and it's gonna be great next year. We're gonna be undermanned. We've got, you know what makes me even more upset is that I was looking at the WNBA projections, like the draft projections. We've got a girl in the top 3, Rakia Jackson. She's a top 3 pick.
Ball.
But
we didn't use her. Exactly.
Where are we at? We should have at least been in the Elite 8. You gotta be kidding me.
Absolutely, man.
You got to be kidding me.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So, thank you to Kelly Harper for all you did playing for Pat and your dedication while you were coaching on the sidelines. But yeah, the game has passed that by. The game has passed Holly and Kelly by, and probably Pat. RIP, but it's probably that shit is over. Pardon my French. But
I think there's a reason too that you're kind of seeing UConn. I don't want to necessarily say come down to an even playing field, but South Carolina now, they're kind of like the new UConn. I don't feel like Gino has done everything to adjust to what's new now. You know what I mean?
He recruits and they get the talent in. He recruits at that same level. But yeah, players are at least going to UConn on brand name value alone.
Right.
I know I've mentioned Kobe before on this podcast because he means so much to me. His daughter wanted to be a Husky. The one that unfortunately died with him on that helicopter. She was a baller. She wanted to play for Gino at UConn. And that pisses me off. I'm just mad. I want this hire to work out so bad for us. I want to see us in good next year. And I'm still willing to be patient. I was willing to be patient with so many stupid football coaches.
Yeah,
that I could give a women's basketball coach some slack. But I want to be good right now.
Yeah, I was patient as a bull with a lot of these football coaches
immediately, dude.
I'll pay more attention to them next year just because it sounds like we made a good hire. So
they score 90 points a game.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So, well, buddy, what do you think we dive into some NCAA tournament talk? Because that game's about to tip off here shortly.
Yes, it is.
Man, who's been your biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and what was some of the best games to in your opinion?
Well, the best game so far was Oakland beating Kentucky.
Back to coal mines.
Terrific. Yeah. That same night, Kansas played Samford, and Samford should have got him. Samford should have got him. that first weekend of the tournament, that's the best week. That's the best 4-day stretch in sports.
Sure.
That's the period. Football
I'd agree
season,
with that.
it's better than all of it. Best game so far. I mean, I've really paid the most attention to us. I
Of
don't
course.
think that the Purdue game was tough. It was a good game though.
It was.
It was a good game. All things considered, we hung with them, and we were in position to beat them.
Should have,
honestly. I think we ran out of gas at the end.
I do too.
Surprised by Bama. I had Bama out to St. Mary's in the second round. Of course, St. Mary's got upset by Grand Canyon.
Of course.
And then there was, let's see, who else? James Madison getting Wisconsin. That was crazy.
Right.
Yale beating Auburn.
That was one I don't think many of us thought was going to happen.
When we did our bracket special here, I said that was a 13/4 to watch out for. I said that we had an Auburn guy on. I can't remember his name. What was his name? Ben. Yeah, I was accused of waiting until he got off. I didn't know he had got off at the time. So Ben, sorry. I wasn't trying to be. I wasn't waiting until you left to say that Yale could beat Auburn. But that ended up happening, and it just made UConn's. UConn is really good, but it made their path to the Final Four way easier.
A lot easier, yeah.
That UConn versus Auburn was the game that never. I think
that was the game everybody wanted to see.
It would have been so good.
You know, my thing about that one was too is I kind of seconded that too, because I followed that up with those Ivy League schools play good, disciplined basketball, man, and they did it. I mean, it's not not a shot on Auburn or whatever, but they shot their way back into that game, played good and played disciplined basketball and won it. So it is what it is. It happened. It be like that sometimes,
Yeah. Don't have my bracket pulled up immediately, but I'm thinking of Houston versus Duke. If Houston's best player doesn't get hurt in that game, maybe we're talking about a different team in the Final Four.
Good point.
Maybe we're talking about a different team tonight, even.
That's true. That's true.
But Duke making it that far was a little bit surprising. For people who don't look at KenPom rankings, because Duke was pretty high up in that.
Right.
Bama making the Final Four was aggravating. Obviously, Clemson being the team they played, that was a basketball or a football game. Football school
on the ball court
to go for the
right.
That Clemson surprising everybody, beating Arizona. Of course, I trusted Arizona yet again, and they screwed me again. North Carolina falling to Bama in the first place, that hurt. Outside of that, I'm losing my track here.
So Iowa State played a tough game. The game that they got put out, that was
Iowa State and Illinois was a great game.
Yes, that was a good one. Houston, and
all for UConn to beat the hell out of Illinois.
No, that's what happened. A 30-0 run, 30-0. Like, what the hell? Who does that
up there? What are they doing up there?
Right. That was it a double overtime game in that Houston? Who was it? Houston and
Texas A&M.
Yes, right. A double overtime game in that one.
Houston had four starters foul out.
Yeah, it was wild, dude. Just insane. That was a good game. That was a good game.
Yeah.
Even though it cost me a little bit of money, it was still a good game. Man, I think we've hit on all those though. Like there was.
Yeah,
I can't think of any right offhand, but
it was a fun tournament. There were plenty of upsets in the first round. A couple of Cinderellas. We had an 11 seed in the Final Four with NC State.
That team surprised me, dude. Hats off to them because
they followed that. You remember UConn in 2011? They won with Kemba Walker. They won the Big East tournament 5 games in 5 days. Turned around and won the next 6. Won the national title.
Yes.
They followed, the hot team got in, and and really made some noise in the tournament. And
I thought NC
hats
State
off
was
to
going to
them.
do that. I
Hats off to
really
them.
thought they were going to, man. That was,
But we ended up with the two best teams.
I agree with that.
It'll be fun. Whoever gets crowned tonight is going to be earned. It's not like that. That UConn team beat Butler in the national title, who was like an 8 seed.
Right. Yeah, this is
It's
a heavyweight fight
this
tonight.
This will be
for
good.
sure. Speaking of predictions for tonight, 6.5 point spread, by the way.
UConn favored?
UConn is favored.
Definitely Purdue +6.
I want to go with that, man, but I'll tell you what, they throw a 30-0 run on Purdue, buddy. It's done. So I don't know if I want to bet the spread, but I think the over was like 145 and some change or so. Hit the over.
Yeah.
Give me Purdue plus the points, but UConn on the money line. Then again, you never do know. So that being said, buddy, Slick Suit moved from the Bluegrass State to Wally World, son. What are you thinking about old John Calipari right now?
Well, I think about John Calipari the same way I've thought about him the whole time. And that's that I respect Calipari. I like him. I read his book that he came out with. This has probably been 10 years ago. He cares about the players. He never gave a single crap about Kentucky. It was all about the kids he was bringing to Kentucky. He was using Kentucky, that logo, their history and everything, to recruit NBA talent so that he could get them ready for the pros. He cared more about the kids. I always liked that about him. I hate that he was doing it at Kentucky, and before that he was doing it at Memphis. Right? It sucks.
Right.
For us.
Of course.
So I think the same about him now as I did then. It really surprises me. I didn't think that was going to happen. I hate it. I hate it because he left and didn't get fired. Because if they fired him, it was going to cost them $30 million.
Right.
But he left, so it doesn't cost them anything. Really, the thing that sucks about all this is it's good for Kentucky.
Oh yeah,
I'm scared. If Calipari stays at Kentucky, it's
ho-hum.
Business as usual.
Right.
But now Kentucky has a clean slate. They didn't have to pay the buyout. They can get anybody they want. Looking back, they can get anybody they want. They're one of the rare fan bases that I think, every time a coaching job opens up, especially we've been through it in football. Get John Gruden, get Chuck Noll, get whoever. They're one of the few teams that can actually get anybody they want.
Right. Oh, yeah. I've heard, obviously, Nate Oates. I don't want that to happen, but I could see it happening. Bruce, that's one that I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he could deal with that up there. You know what I'm saying? And then we've got, I've heard Patino. So you got Patino potentially, his boy, at is he at Lehigh? Is that, or where's he at? It's not Lee.
Rick.
Rick.
He was at Iona last I heard.
That's it. That's it. Well, him, and then he's got a son too. I can't remember where he's coaching. Either one of those two.
No idea.
Those are the three that I've heard tossed around. Out of the three, God, I hope they get Patino's son. Well,
they're gonna go after everybody. They're gonna go after Danny Hurley at UConn. Not gonna happen. Surely not.
Surely not.
I said they can get anybody they want. I don't think they're getting Hurley from UConn. They're gonna go after Billy Donovan with the Bulls. They're gonna go after Jay Wright, who is doing commentary work for CBS. Nate. So when you talk about going for the SEC coaches, like Nate Oates. If they get Nate Oates from Alabama, all that does is that's going to make Kentucky really good again.
Yeah,
they're a problem, but that also makes Alabama not a problem. Alabama's over. That's
true.
So that's a good thing for us, really. It sucks that it's going to be Kentucky again, being good, but Alabama's over with. And
the
then
title rollout then.
Same with Bruce Pearl at Auburn. Now that one would really sting if Bruce Pearl goes to Kentucky and wins a lot of basketball games.
Oh man,
That's gonna.
You talk about firing up that rivalry, though, buddy. I mean,
gonna,
like now it's kind of cute. You know what I mean? It's like, oh well, Bruce is at Auburn. I hope he does okay, except when he plays us. And as soon as that happens, they're just like, Bruce, no, I hope he loses every game.
But that puts all Auburn back where they were before Bruce.
Right.
So if you hire from outside anywhere in the SEC, like that's a good thing for us, really.
Yeah, I would
just eliminating some team from contention.
That's true. That's a good point. I would agree with that for sure. That's a question though. Who do they go get? Like if I'm picking from Billy Donovan or Jay Wright, I want those two. Those are probably my top two choices.
Yeah.
And I would say Jay Wright is my number one, honestly.
I think Jay Wright's one of, if not the best, unretired. Well, he's technically retired. But if Jay Wright comes out of retirement, he's the best coach in America.
Sure. Absolutely. I would agree with that. Absolutely. 110%, man. So I do want to mention one thing here. We've got basevols on the ticker down here. Since we last were on, they played two SEC series. One against the leg humpers in Athens. That was a 2-1 favor of the Vols, but man, that one game they lost, it was a drubbing, 16-2.
Yeah.
So, but then they follow that up with that was the lead off the weekend, and they followed it up with a 16-11 and 7-0 win. So, you do what you win some, you lose some. Then they beat Auburn. Speaking of Bruce, 2 out of 3 lost the first game 9-5, but it happens. So that was our touch on the Diamond this week.
I don't start following baseball till basketball season's completely over.
So
it's completely over in college after tonight, and then I follow the NBA. So baseball in general, I don't pick up till later. I do have a fun stat for you right here. I don't know if you've heard this yet.
Drop it.
How many games do you have our record on hand?
I think we're 22-4 right now.
22-4.
22-4. I want to say. I can look. I'll give you.
However,
22-5.
22-5. 27 games. Do you remember that baseball team from 2 years ago that we had with Drew Gilbert and Jordan Beck that were just smacking home runs?
Yes.
Through the same amount of games, this year's team has hit 8 more home runs.
Wow. They've had some games though, man, where they just blister it, son. So I want to be surprised, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I know we've had 3 games this year where they've hit 4 home runs.
Mm-hmm. We've got the bats, man. We've got the bats. Like, don't count us out. Don't count us out. That's it. Anything.
Don't float anything. Don't float anything soft up in the box. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care how bad that sounds. Don't even care. So, well, buddy, I think we've had a pretty good run with it tonight. We've hit on everything we said we were going to hit. Buddy, you're going to be my new guy going forward here. Hope Grant does good in everything he does. I'm glad to have you. We're going to make this fun, and we're going to talk about the Vols and whatever else we want to, man. So I appreciate you being willing to join me and talk Vols with me every week.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
We're gonna have some fun, and we're gonna actually jump off here and go watch this national championship game. So I will see you guys here shortly. We'll end this one with how we always end it. Go damn Vols.
Go Vols.
Yes, sir.